This is the Paracave Podcast, proudly brought to you by major sponsor Parramatta Leagues Club, home of the Eels, and also home of Jack's Pale Ale.
Welcome to another episode of the Paracave Podcast. And now over to your host, Troy Warner, broadcasting live from the world-famous Paracave.
And today on the podcast, got a legend of rugby league. He's played at the highest level for Australia, also a Queensland representative as well, has won a premiership with Manly as well. And look, today on the podcast, we've got Mr. Dale Rowdy Shearer on the podcast. He's played for Manly, Brisbane, Gold Coast, South Queensland, Sydney City, North Queensland, and the proud Queensland Maroons. Welcome to the podcast, Rowdy.
Thanks, champ. Yeah, more clubs than Slim Dusty played at, mate.
Nah, that's okay. That's all right. We'll get to those ones.
Story behind that too, mate, to be honest.
Oh, fair enough. Oh, well, I'm willing to listen to that one for sure. Now, growing up, how did rugby league come into your life? How did you find rugby league?
Oh, mate, my old man, he was a mad sportsman all round, actually. One of the best cricketers country-wise, rugby league-wise, and athletics, along with mum, played a bit of squash, athletics, netball. So it was sort of in the genes, that one, and Dad was always very supportive of, he was the principal, teacher, and very supportive of young kids and getting them involved with sport.
And then who would have been your early rugby league idols, and was there a team that you supported growing up?
I wasn't right into it, but I was born in St George, not St George, New South Wales, but St George, sort of west of Brisbane, way out bush. And they were the red and white, which is similar to St George in New South Wales. So I did stick with them. It was a team I did follow, and I think it was Robert Young, Rod Reddy, Little Slippery Morris. They were sort of, wasn't something I got right into, but because I was from St George, I seemed to follow them, and they were the three guys that stick out in my mind at the moment.
Yeah, no, there's certainly some champion players there, that's for sure. And growing up, obviously playing junior rugby league, how and who spotted you to get you to Manly down in 1985?
Yeah, well, that's a big jump ahead, but I was playing, Dad was a principal, as I mentioned. He moved to Serena, so...
Oh, yes, famous Serena Crocodiles. Mate,
they are, mate, per capita.
I think Wendell and Daly Cherry Evans, I think.
Marty Bello, Kevin Campion, Reuben Calder. Oh, God, I shouldn't leave any out.
Geez, you got a team right there, actually.
Daly Cherry Evans. I think Tommy Dearden played there. There's quite a... Yeah, mate, as I say, per capita, for such a small town, we would definitely have produced the most Origin players. But, back to your question. So I ended up there, Dad being a principal, and then played A grade in Serena, and ended up playing for Mackay, and we played in the Foley Shield comp, played for North Queensland, and it was the 1984 Foley Shield where I really stood out. I think it was only 18 at the time.
Okay.
17, 18. But I was doing all the kicking and liked to get involved in play. And, about a month later, Donnie Ferner, of all people, rocked up at the door at 47 Beach Road, Serena, where I used to live, unexpected, and just said, I want you to come to Canberra. And I said, well, yeah, okay, mate. I was being a country boy, mate, and I love the sun, so I love the crab and love my fishing, love chasing pigs, and all I could think of Canberra was
Cold.
0 degrees and snowing or whatever. And I said, I'll have a think about it. And anyway, it was a big decision, but I just thought, and then Bobby Fulton, of all things, directly rang me about 2 weeks later and said, I want you to come to Manly. And I thought, oh, yeah, it's a bit warmer. I love the beach. And then Fatty was there, Choppy, Chris Close, Paul McCabe, Kerry Bosted. Apologise, left some of the others out. But, yeah, I thought, oh, yeah, that's maroon and white. That's Queensland. Got a lot of Queenslanders there, yep. And I thought, yeah, righto, I might head down there.
Yeah, well, I mean, your first season you played 22 games there, and as you mentioned, there were some legends there, Noel Cleal, Paul Vaughton, Phil Blake, Desi Hasler, the current Gold Coast Titans coach, Chrissy Close as well, Choppy, who I've had on the podcast before as well. But 22 games in that first season for Manly, and then 19 in 1986. But 1987 was 1986, we'll get to 1986. That was a special year for yourself as well because you represented Australia as well on the Queensland, on the Kangaroo Tour, I should say. That would have been really special to represent Australia. Yeah,
it definitely was, mate. But I got the story to that one too. Well, I did get picked in the Australian team '85 to go to New Guinea.
Okay, yeah.
Which was good for me. But, yeah, I got picked in to go on that Kangaroo tour, and they said, righto, boys, just look after yourself. And you just mentioned Phil Blake, of all people. And we went to I hope I got it all correct, but we went to the Daly M's.
Okay, yeah.
And I don't know whether I won. I think I might have won. I don't know if it was Best Representative Player of the Year. It was that or 87. But anyway, I went to the Daly M's that night. Blakey was there, Phil Blake, and we got to talking about going skiing. And I said, oh, yeah, I've never been skiing. My wife never seen snow. Well, she wasn't my wife at the time. She was only young. She come down, and we thought, yeah, we'll do that. We had a few drinks. We ended up at, I think it was, whatever you call it, DD's at Brookvale. It was all happening. And then Blakey logs up at, it was 7:30 in the morning. You ready to roll? I said, well, roll where? Where are we going? He said, you said last night we're going skiing. I said, mate, I can't go skiing. I've never skied before. He said, oh, well, I said, I haven't got any gear. He said, well, we'll wait for the Brookvale Mall to open. We'll go and hire some gear and blah, blah, blah. I went down there and Delise, my future wife, we went down and we're having a grouse time, and then we get to the top of the mountain and she's off, and I'm thinking, oh, I'm very competitive myself, and I'm thinking, Jesus Christ, she's got me covered here. And she's flying. I'm thinking, righto, speed up, catch her. Anyway, I didn't really tell anyone. Well, I definitely didn't tell anyone. I ended up having a stack, hitting a tree, done my medial ligament, and I'm just lying there thinking, I can't even move. Anyway, she's come back up the chairlift, back down, found me and go, what are you doing? I said, I was trying to catch you. And she said, you're cracking. She said, I didn't know how to stop. I've never been skiing in. So I did my medial, and I think I just, from memory again, I missed the first test because I didn't want to tell anyone, but I didn't want to tell anyone I was injured. I just thought, oh, no, I'm good as gold. Yeah. But, yeah, I'm pretty confident I missed that first test. And, it was I just kept my mouth shut because I wanted to go on a kangaroo tour. That was a big thing back in the days. You know, things have changed now. 3-month tour, which is a long time, which I don't think you'll ever see happen again. But, yeah, I ended up over there. And, yeah, I'm, as I say, I think second and third test, but I'm not sure about the first one. Yeah, thanks to skiing that I've never done before.
No, I've got it in front of me. Games 2 and 3 you were part of, and I mean it must have been pretty good over there. Who's your roommate on that tour? Do you remember who that was?
Yeah, Greg Alexander, mate.
Okay, yeah. What was Brandy like?
I rate him very highly, Brandy.
Any funny stories about Brandy?
Nothing I could tell. But oddly enough, 86 Kangaroo Tour, Brandy was my roomie. Great guy, mate. Love him to death. And I thought he was one of the most skillful. He could do it in a chip, chase, kick, speed, change direction, step. He's a champion player, and we actually both went on the 90 Kangaroo Tour. And I said, right, let's go do the roomie thing again.
Yeah.
So, yeah, a lot of people wouldn't know that, but 86 and 90, we both roomed together on both tours.
Yeah, nice.
He was freakish, mate. He was an absolute, just one of the best players, just natural players that I've played with.
Yeah, no, definitely. Probably one of those players that probably came up in the wrong era with Mortimer, Sterling, and the likes in front of him as well. But yeah, no, definitely a champion.
Yeah, no, you had Alfie and Stewart, and
yeah, no, definitely for sure. I mean,
but he could play anywhere. He could, mate. He played fullback there a couple of times, and the tour and wing and whatever. But yeah, rate him very highly.
Yeah, that's for sure. I think that 86 tour was the Invincibles and the last undefeated side to go through there. And as you mentioned, it probably won't happen again, the Kangaroo Tours, which is a shame. There is a 3-match test series at the end of the year, so that is pretty good to see. Yeah, why not? Well, speaking of Kangaroo Tours, that Game 2 in 1990 has probably gone down in folklore as one of the greatest test matches ever, if not rugby league game, but that must have been great to be a part of, and you also scored a try in that game as well.
Yeah, mate, that's the same. My memory's not the best, but I don't know. Is that the one Cliffy scored? I think they might have lost the first one, so we had to make a bit of a comeback. Yeah, you lost the first test, and I think the second test is when Ricky threw that intercept. Yeah, Big Mal scored the try, and I think Ricky threw that intercept. So it would have been the first time in something like 20 or 30 years that Australia would have lost the Ashes. But Cliff scored a try, yourself scored a try, and Mal scored the winning try. Yeah, that was unbelievable. That was just freakish how that ET was looming there, but it just, I don't know, just panned out well for Mal, thankfully. But, yeah, great try, mate. I was over on the left-hand side. And
so what were you thinking when Ricky made that break?
I was just thinking kick to the left. I'm way over on the left-hand side. It's not a silent side. But he was weaving and umming and ahhing about where he was going to head, and... anyway, at the end of the day, it all turned up fine.
Yeah, no, for sure. What about for yourself? Where does playing for Australia rank? Is it above Origin, or is Origin the pinnacle of rugby league for yourself?
I think Origin is the pinnacle, but at the end of the day, well, I never thought about it as a child, but most players would just think, righto. The ultimate is let's play for Australia.
Yep.
But I think, I don't think Origin's the toughest and hardest to play. And we all know that as Australians, and maybe the English or all these other countries, although they're growing stronger, these Islander countries are just getting bigger and stronger and faster. But... yeah, mate. I could always say Origin's the best.
Yep.
But at the end of the day, you want to represent your country, and if I played 45, 50 Origins, I'd be disappointed that I never represent Australia either. Yeah. And these days, because of the hype around footy and the coverage, a lot of kids will just, I want to play for Australia. They wouldn't say, they're probably just going to play Origin on the way, but their goal would, I want to play for Australia. Like most, whatever sport, female or male, they want to play for Australia, but that Origin is the toughest, I think, the toughest.
Well, speaking of playing for Australia, what would have been your favourite Kangaroos moment? Would it have been those Kangaroo tours or the World Cup tours, or is there one moment that stands out for yourself?
I did. It was only France. Sadly. Well, it's great the game's expanding, but they're breaking try scoring records these days because initially these other countries that got involved, you can score 4 or 5 tries that shouldn't even be at that level. But I did score, I think, at least 4 or 5 over in France.
Yep.
They weren't the strongest, to be honest, but it was a world record. Pretty proud of that at the time. The World Cup 88, when I had my jaw fractured, I was fortunate enough, I mentioned it to someone the other day, I don't really know if I ever played after I broke my jaw just before, but they still picked me in the Australian team.
Yep.
And, I scored a try, and we won the World Cup. So, but, mate, the 86, maybe I missed the first one, but, it's a big part of history to go undefeated.
Yeah, nah, for sure, definitely.
Plus 92, 3, 4, I can't remember, I was fullback at one. Couple of man of matches and player of the series at fullback, which is pretty good for me because I could not cop the wing, mate. I hated the bloody wing.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned Origin just before as well, and we spoke about that, but you made that Origin team in 85 for Queensland. That's a pretty massive rise into the representative scene. You must have been pretty... Was that always the dream to play for Queensland?
Well, mate, I think I'd only just turned 19, if that. But I just really didn't go into it as a youngster because I didn't make the teams. But I think that's a bit back in the early days, as early teenagers. And let's just be bluntly honest here. It's not how good you are. It's who knows the manager, who knows the coach, who knows the selectors, because there's no way I should not have been selected in any of those, under 17, under 18, because the next year I was playing Origin, but I couldn't even make, under 18, 17 teams. But 1 year later I'm playing Origin.
Yeah.
So, it was a big jump, but I did lift a gear and knew what I had to achieve and do work-wise, training-wise. And it paid off, and obviously I went on to bigger and better things, but it was certainly a big turning point in my career.
Well, would 1987, that series, would that have been your favourite series to play? Queensland were dominant that year. They won all 3 games.
Yeah, they were, and you can add the 4th one in over to LA. I scored a try in if you count the LA, 4 Origins in a row. Well, I didn't even realise till last year, the hammer. I think I'd scored 7 Origin tries in a row, and he was out to break that record, and I think he's a genius. I've got a lot of time for him. I think he can play, and I would actually select him at fullback this series.
Okay, yeah.
He just wants to be involved. And obviously got a ton of speed, so I'm a big fan of his. But, gladly, well, not for Queensland, but he didn't break my record. But, I didn't even realise that was a record as such. But, got a big rap on him.
Yeah, certainly a champion player. And that game over in LA, it was probably the first game that was probably played over in the USA. Now they've got the Las Vegas experiment happening each and every year at the start of the year. Do you think Rugby League can make it over in the USA?
But I thought I could have made it back then. Though.
Okay.
I think we had a crowd of about 14,000. Actually, my son snavelled that jersey today. It was, he just found that one, and I said, well, hang on to that because that'll be worth keeping because, I think it's only going to get bigger and better, as you're talking about, in America. That was, 1987, so worth hanging on to. I've always believed so, mate, because of all their padding, and I get to see the people in the crowd who are, where's their pads? What are they doing out there? That's crazy. How come they can hit each other and they don't hurt and all this sort of thing? It surprised me that we didn't push on with that a lot earlier.
Okay, yeah.
But it seems to be, well, the Americans are there. There's a lot of Aussies go over to those games, but I think it can only grow.
Yeah, no, it's certainly getting bigger, I think, over there, and getting played a bit more over there, that's for sure. Was there any standout from that 87 game, either on or off the field in LA and Las Vegas?
Well, be professional, start with on the field.
Yeah.
As I just touched on, the crowd, as I think 14,000, but they were just amazed that, no padding and just going, oh, what, I just can't believe this. And, they praised us up, and a few of them met us after and just couldn't believe that we weren't wearing the pads and how good it was and how tough we were. And then off the field, well, mate, New South Wales had already lost another series as usual. And I think they put their hand up because they did win that one.
Yeah. But
it didn't help that the Queenslanders are out to if they went to sleep at all. So 4 or 5 in the morning partying, it was just a bit of a trip away, end of season trip as you'd call it. We were just partying. They were all pretty serious, and they ended up winning. But at the end of the day, it really counted for nothing.
Were you one of the ones egging on Alfie Langer in the bodybuilding competition?
He was in party mode, Alfie. I'll never forget that. Well, when isn't he, mate? Little cheeky bugger. He just 2'2", like Snoopy the dwarf. Just lucky he's that size. He just seems to get away with whatever. But he was in party zone that night.
Yeah, that's for sure. Well, another Origin game that is certainly good for New South Wales fans, but one that you were involved in was the 1991 Game 2 at the Sydney Football Stadium with the infamous Mark Geyer, Wally Lewis incident at half-time. What are your memories of that game? Whereabouts were you on the field when that was happening?
Oh, geez, mate, I've got no idea. I do remember it pretty vividly, it was sort of a bit of a G-up, but that's Wally. Wally loves the attention. He tries to assert himself there too, but MG loses the plot. He mightn't like it, but I've spent time. I never played with any club footy, but I've seen him on kangaroo tours. He gets a bit fired up and carried away, but I'd say that's what happened that night. But like you say, it was a bit of a highlight that night. Well, I don't know the end result, to be honest.
I think you came off the bench, you scored a try, and I think when you scored a try, I think you copped a bit of a hit on the head after it, I think, from someone who was trying to take you out at the time.
Stewart, mate, yeah. Typical Union guy, but he did. He tried to hit me hard. I nearly threw the ball back at him. I remember now you told me that. Sort of sliced through a gap, and Wally... I hit a gap, he passed it to me, scored. And, Ricky come in late.
And then being a part of that 1995 series, that must have been unbelievable as well. The Neville Nobodies, 30 years this year. And nobody gave Queensland a hope of winning that series. That was obviously during the Super League war.
Yeah, it was, mate. That's the Neville Nobody. I'm not a big fan of that Neville Nobody because I've just been playing for Australia for 10 years. So I didn't class myself as a Neville Nobody, but respect to the debutants, they all stood up. A couple of blokes there, Cookie I played with at the Crushers and a couple others there amongst it, and they stood up to be counted, and it's happened a lot for Queensland just over the time, which people have learned. Doesn't matter. You just seem to lift, and it's something I've done in my career. Like might be so-called struggling for form, but I know come Origin time, I've never ever had a bad game in those old 26 you mentioned. But yeah, it wasn't remarkable. I think we got. I won't even mention the other guy, but anyway, I got on the punt. I didn't care. We had 18 half start. They were supposed to flog us by 20:30. And I just couldn't believe we're getting 18 and a half starts. I'll get a bit of this. We didn't need to start. We just win. Just win. Happy days.
Yeah, no, that's for sure. As I said, 30 years this year. You played every position in the back line except for halfback for Queensland. That's another record you can hold. That's unbelievable. You mentioned you didn't like playing on the wing. Which one of those backline positions was your favourite?
I think early on it was fullback because I got to roam around, do what I liked, and chime in wherever. But as I got a bit older, I like to control the game and sort of take over. So it was 5'8". But I think there was one period there. I can't remember when it was. Oh, mate, whatever. It was. I think it might have been when Mel got injured and Fatty and Bobby Linda. They all got and. I just said because I got on well. I was going extremely well, 87 and whatever, and I just. Alfie got injured. Alfie definitely got injured. Yeah. I said, I want to play halfback. And I said, around here. I said, no, put me in there.
Okay,
I want to have a runner. I want the halfback spot because I just getting to that stage. I want to get more involved and, had a good kicking game and think I could steer the guys around the park. But, they ended up picking Michael Hagan. He was a good guy. He went well at the time, but, I thought, geez, if I got that 7 then, no one will ever do that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
No,
it wasn't just those different positions. I think I gathered all the jersey numbers along the way, but I would have loved to play in halfback. But yeah, outside of that, I don't think anyone's ever done fullback, centre, wing, 5'8". I mean, there's some tremendous players. And Inglis was one. I'm trying to think where he played, but yeah, he didn't get to play 5'8". Yeah, it's something. Yeah, I was just talking to my sons about today, and we're looking through the jersey. I don't know whether someone will ever achieve that again, but I did. So it's another accomplishment in my life.
Yeah, no, definitely for sure. You mentioned kicking game there before, and I saw over the off season. I can't remember what year it was, but yourself and Ricky Stewart and Laurie Daly having the old fashioned kicking duels. On the field, so a bit like Forceman's back. They were different times back then, certainly, weren't they?
Yeah, mate, a bit of a shocker then. As most times, it's 70% southerly, and they're running north. So, yeah, I should have shut that down early, but the guy said, no, just kick it back, Reddy. We just want to bash them first. So that's what it was all about, and then they'd kick it back, and, they had a bit of win up there. AESS, but anyway, I should have turned around in the second half and righto, let's have a crack now and see how this pans out.
Yeah, certainly something you probably won't see ever again, the old kicking duel, but it certainly was in vogue at the time. There was a few going on here and there. 5 years at Manly, including a premiership in 1987. That's probably something that all players want to achieve is a premiership because you're with the guys for most of the year. That would have been pretty special to win that.
Oh, most definitely, mate. I was very fortunate. I came from the bush, as we spoke about, Serena, and by the time I was, whatever it was, 2021, I'd played State of Origin, Kangaroo toured, and then the next year won a premiership. So, sort of achieved it all maybe like 1986. Yeah, by 21, I'd achieved all that. So pretty amazing career early and never ever thought I'd just keep soldiering on to achieve what, everything that I achieved.
And against the club that wanted you in the first place, Canberra as well. That must have been a bit bittersweet then to get the victory over them.
Well, I thought we'd hammer them, to be honest, because. But I think what happened, the Roosters, as in club games, the Roosters when we played them in that final, that was, I think it was the toughest game I've ever played.
Okay.
As in a club game, and I think what happened to them, unfortunately, was they had to back up the next week. We had a week off.
Yeah, okay.
And that's how I believe the Raiders made it to the grand final because I reckon, she was very physical, and the win against our win against them, and that's how we ended up playing Canberra. But I thought we'd really kick on there, but they did hang in there. All respect to them. It's only 18-8.
Dylan, how you going, mate? Are you a Para Cave podcast listener?
I am, bro. It's a great podcast. Everyone tune in.
Go Para.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Para Cave Podcast. See you next time.